I know that you've all been prepared for this, but I thought I'd just remind you just the same.
Can you handle that, Blondie?
Game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Because pure evil.
I want to buy some radio ad time.
Welcome back for another episode. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel John Toohey.
We got Carmack in the back. This is Invasion of the Polly Snatchers. Let's get to it, motherfuckers. Alright, Noel, we're back again, and this time we're going on another famous horror location.
Stop.
Stop. So we've already been to Derry, Maine. All of us now forever going to remember it as Mary Dane from that episode. But and we've been to the Overlook Hotel, and we've been back to the Overlook Hotel, and we also came back to Derry, Maine. But this time we went to Woodsboro, which was like something like probably the only iconic, really truly iconic franchise from the 90s in terms of horror.
Yes.
Like you had knockoffs.
I feel not that I'm a historian of horror, but I feel like it was dying. It needed this.
Yeah.
The Uma Thurman, and this was the adrenaline shot to the heart that were so desperately needed.
And it was like, like that franchise we speak of course, is Scream, and it was like one of the few, or one of the last franchises that was actually made by one of the true horror masters from back in the day. Like if you look at it, like when's the last time John Carpenter created a new franchise?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, or when you go back, George Romero's passed away, and you look at Toby Hooper passed away. So Wes Craven, who's no longer with us now, this was probably the last brand new IP created by one of the true horror.
A complete and total step away from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
As in he didn't like, you know, there's guys who are known for their body horrors, guys who like to mess with the eternal and ethereal and hell and heaven and all that kind of stuff. But this was like, if you went into this and you had no idea, and you knew all the franchises but none of the directors, and I said, who do you think made this? You'd take some wild stab at it. And if you got Wes Craven, it'd be because of a wild stab.
Yeah.
Bar the little cameo where he actually is dressed like Freddy and he's but bar that, there's no hints of it. He had a new idea, a very meta idea. Yeah, it was executed perfectly.
And I remember something we touched on before is often a sign of a film's last legacy or success is the knockoffs.
Oh my god!
And after Scream,
if we're going to talk knockoffs, man, from Scream, there isn't enough hours in the day.
Like, because the way I look at it is Halloween birthed the slasher frenzy in the 80s, and Scream kind of birthed the slasher frenzy in the late 90s, early 2000s. And like the both had, even for completely different reasons, because Halloween in a sense popularized this classic slasher, whereas Scream in a sense popularized the modern slasher, very meta, like you said. It was the first one that kind of winked at the audience and fucking so that was like, I stayed in character, I even winked at you there and all. It was unsettling. But you know you wink at, like it was one of the first times where they literally like they look at horror. Like, it's very few times when you look at a horror movie back in the day, they reference horror.
Yes.
Because they want this scare that they're enduring or whatever to seem so
the film is about
unique.
Itself and not about anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you never sat down in the cafeteria with Michael Myers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, him sitting there with the mask and going, I don't know who's been killing all these people, you know.
Yeah.
But this one was definitely, you had the whodunit, and you had a snake eating its own tail because you knew there was somebody inside of the group killing people inside of the group. Yeah. And then they were actually obeying the rules because at the end of it all, they were horror fanatics. Yeah. Again, the most iconic scene from this film, and it had some great deaths as well. Actually, it's probably Drew Barrymore in the opening.
Yeah, that's the most iconic.
I'm going to keep it real. It's Drew Barrymore. In the opening.
Of course.
But second to that then was when Randy gets up and he gives
the video source scene.
No, I'm talking about house parties.
Oh yeah. He gives
the
rules.
Rules. Yeah. And the thing is, despite the fact that this was supposed to be the real world, like I know all movies are, but this was supposed to be outside of horror franchises. They did stick to it. Yeah. It was the whole, you have to lose your virginity. Don't say I'll be right back.
Yeah, but no, they kind of they followed the tropes, but also broke them at the same thing. Because Sydney had sex with Billy, but she survived. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, I'm talking about the actual killers inside of the film.
Oh yeah,
you know, they wanted to kind of, well, they were maniacs, but they also seemed to want to pay homage to the films that they would, you know, have watched.
That inspired them.
Yeah,
because they were like that. Our defenses were going to blame the movies. It's never been done before. Like, you know what I mean? And like one thing I liked about it as well is that like, do you ever play the game? I watched them more and more times now, and I'm always trying to figure out who's killing who and when. Like, have you ever done is like trying to pick who's Ghostface?
Oh,
and when? Like, is this Billy? Is this Stu? Like, I always think the power is, like, when Ghostface is really clumsy, and he's getting he gets a lot of punishment. He slaps off the ground. I think that's Stu.
Yeah, you're running at a teenage girl, and you've got a really Rambo knife.
Yeah,
and you're just falling haplessly over. Like, Ghostface takes a lot of punishment.
I think that's always Stu. I think when he's constantly nearly failing or to get away, I think that's Stu.
I meant to look into, because I know I did before, and they have like a fish, Kevin Williams or whatever, has come out and said, like between Billy and Stu, this murder was supposed to be him. This murder was supposed to be him.
Who do you think the first murder was?
Who? I'd say the first murder was probably Billy, because I think we're supposed to really. Stu is. You
kill my girlfriend, I kill yours.
Yes. And Stu also has this kind of like, he might be mentally damaged.
Billy's the dominant one.
Yes, Billy actually is the one you end up hating.
Isn't it was it the Hillside Stranglers? The two guys,
the two cousins,
Ken Bianchi and I can't remember the other dude's name.
Yeah,
but they often say in pairs of killers. There's this is fucking Criminal Minds. I'm not no criminologist, but they say there's a dominant and then there's a subservient, which is often the case in most relationships.
A guy who could have gone on to do very nice things if he'd gotten in with this crowd. Just
exactly.
Very malleable.
Exactly. Because like if he gets in with a football crowd, he's a footballer.
Exactly.
If he gets in with a rock crowd, he's a rocker. You know what I mean?
And even if he gets in with a serial killer, he's a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly.
And Stu was kind of penultimately that, and you should hate him. Thankfully, because it's cinema, we don't have to hate these people as much as we would if they carried out these things.
Yeah, Matthew Lillard's amazing in the role.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's absolutely fantastic.
Live her alone. Get it, live her alone. And most of that last scene is like ad-libbed.
Because he. When Billy gets frustrated and throws, and when he talks to Sydney on the phone, and he throws it and he hits
Stu with the phone,
and he's like, like, what you doing? I'm doing a little boozy. All of that, it's like that's one of my favorite.
Do you know the part where he picks up the phone and he like crosses his legs, and that's like all ad-libbed as well, like, you know what I mean? And the part where he's like, my parents are gonna be so mad. That's like ad-libbed as well. And even the part where he goes, I've always had a thing for you, Sid. And she puts the TV. There was no dialogue there originally, and she puts the TV and she's like, "Dream on." That's ad-libbed as well.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure, because I watched the making of this a long time ago, but like I'm nearly sure a lot of the most iconic lines are ad-libbed.
I do know that from the actor saying that they were given quite a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
And if it worked, it worked.
Yeah.
And if it didn't, it didn't. Also.
Because you just like take it from the top.
Yeah, take it from the top.
Yeah. And Wes Craven's a horror master.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes there is that, like, if you wanted to work in a fuck you or something, because that's the way it would be in real life. If somebody was trying to kill you and you managed to get the upper hand against all of the odds, but the fact of the matter, you might have a little something to say, and it lent into that. And again, it's supposed to give you a look at what living inside of a horror movie might be like.
Yeah, if you're aware that you're inside a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's like if Deadpool was in a horror movie or something.
And then they just decide this from through the franchise, it just gets more meta.
Yeah, because that is the hallmark of the Scream franchise. Like when you look at hallmarks, like Halloween's is like suspense and fear of the earlier movies. I mean, and the better ones. And like when you got Friday the 13th, it's like body count, and you get Nightmare on Elm Street is like how like extravagant, how elaborate can the dream sequences get throughout the movies. So with Scream, it's like the hallmark of Scream is how meta part one was.
Oh, huge.
So it had to become more and more and more meta as it went along, because that was his hallmark. So like even though the body counts got bigger, so did its self-awareness, like, you know what I mean? Because that's what it was known for. Like,
and then it started like, we've made a fourth one, but they were poking fun at themselves so many times. But like looking back at this as an entire franchise, there's so much that I didn't really like about, like, the third one considered to be
at the time, but I don't mind it at all now.
Now looking at it, I just think,
so
like,
fun.
How much fun was this?
Exactly. Yeah, like every single one. I was like, what's wrong? I was like, actually, now I don't think there's a 1 week film in that franchise.
No, same.
Like in my opinion, like some of them are weaker than others.
Exactly.
But they're not bad films at all.
Oh,
not even close. Like,
not even close.
Yeah,
no.
Because I just didn't get it at the time.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was. Part 3, I was just like a bit off because it was so meta. Like, I didn't understand that style. Maybe, like, you know,
when you revisit something like, 10 years later, for example, between 3 and 4, 3 or 4 years later, and like the third one is a very updated one, and the second one just seemed to stand alone as a 2. But watching them all together, you can see the full scope of what he was going for and how they tried to keep it fresh. And you look at the whole effort, and you kind of go, "Wow, well done."
Yeah.
It is quite fucking well done.
Yeah.
And it's even some of the silliness you have to let away, because Scream was aware that it was a bit silly.
Yeah.
The Scream was a little bit silly.
Yeah, and that because originally Scream's working title was Scary Movie.
Really?
Yeah, I swear, and like that's where the whole thing came from. Because originally it was called Scary Movie. It was written as a spoof of actual of the genre, like in the terms of the way Scary Movie came around to the Keenan brothers, or sorry, the Wayne brothers, the Keenan brothers. Keenan Wayne's one of them, isn't it? And so like the Wayne brothers came around. So Scream originally was written as a spoof, and I think as it went through the process, they wanted to make it a bit more horror. And even when you look at it, though, it still remains much of a spoof of the genre as anyone. They said that this has more serious undertones now, because I think originally it might have been an outright spoof. You know what I mean? Kevin Williamson wrote, the guy who did Dawson's Creek, Halloween, H20, I think as well, didn't he? So I think like the idea was originally it might have been like a comedic horror, and I think even though it still remains one of the funniest horrors out there, it became a bit darker, I think, throughout the process.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
because there was bad deaths of good characters.
People you liked.
I mean, Tatum's death was, again, it falls into that line of being a little bit.
I was always a massive fan of Tatum.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when she goes into a garage better than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm just gonna I'm just gonna say that right now. I just think she enters the garage better than anyone. Nobody makes an entry.
She does a good job defending herself as well, and you know the Scream.
Am I supposed to be the girl that's all scared? Do you remember that? That comes back in Scary Movie when Shannon Elizabeth does that, and they kind of knock it up to the nth degree.
And he cuts her head off, and he's like, "Oh, look at me, I have no body." I guess. But her death was kind of gruesome, and again a little bit funny. But the fact of the matter is, when Sydney comes around the front of the house when she's running from Ghostface, and she sees Tatum's body still hanging from the garage door.
Is that Billy, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think most of the stuff with Sydney would have been Billy. I think Stu would have had to kill his own girlfriend.
I think. Do you think Stu killed Tatum or Billy?
I think Stu probably killed Tatum.
Because Stu was at the party.
Yeah, but didn't he go, "I'll be right back"?
Oh, yeah.
Does he disappear? See, that's the thing. When you're looking back on it, it's hard to track their movements.
Because Billy hadn't shown up yet at that stage. So I was thinking it might have been Billy.
Both might have been Billy then,
Yeah. Because I think when Sydney was nearly getting killed at the start, that was Stu. Because I think that was how the pact probably started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You killed Tatum dumped me. You killed her. Or not Tatum, sorry. Drew Barrymore's character. What was her name? Cindy, is it?
No, Sydney was her.
Is it what's her name? Cindy? Isn't it?
Casey. She was a red herring.
Yeah, so
and we have to touch upon that before.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore, the ultimate
it's
the most iconic red herring in film history.
It all came about because of scheduling conflicts. Because originally she was supposed to be Sidney Prescott, and she couldn't, but she wanted to be part of the project. And I think Wes Craven came up with this idea as you be the girl in the open sequence.
Yeah, I mean she was already quite famous at this stage, and
very famous. Drew Barrymore's been famous since she got shot out of the womb.
Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell are all these very famous people. Like, who were they in 1996?
Yeah.
Well, Courtney Cox was in Friends, so she had a lot of name recognition. Yeah. But Drew Barrymore was in stuff since she was a little girl. Like E.T. was her second film. Firestarter. That's
like as I said, she's been famous since she got shot out of the womb. Like she's been famous since she was like a small child, and not only that, like she went through the whole being like the problems with Hollywood at the time when she was like an alcoholic and fucking drug addict when she was like small, like in her adolescence. Yeah. Like she's been around so long, but she's been acting that entire time.
What happens when you give too much influence and money to a child and tell them that they're incredibly special.
Yeah, and now she's the exact other end of the spectrum.
She's one of the ones that came out the other side. And I'm happy about that. Yeah. Because it swallows. It's Edward Furlong and stuff. It swallows them.
Like. And I think the best thing about the intro is who do we love more? Like, there's very few people you love more Drew Barrymore and she's so bubbly. Check out Julia Roberts, real bubbly, real Americana, that girl next door. And to see her in the opening sequence, like, of course she's the main character.
Yeah.
It's Drew Barrymore.
Like I thought, again, I mean, the first time I watched this, I was only a kid, but I remember thinking like, oh, this is a scene where her boyfriend dies.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And she gets away, and that's how you start the film.
And that's exactly it. And and that's her investment in. That's why she's going to do. Because a lot of times you say, "Well, I just hit the road and run." No, that's how you get a character invested. Take something from them that makes them want to fight back.
100%.
And that's what I thought they were going to do.
This guy gets a
but then they kill her, and then when she's running out, and I remember I can remember just being so young and having seen a lot of horror films, but thinking I kind of had the formula down. When I see her get a knife right in the stomach.
Yeah.
Like right
she got it in the chest.
In the chest.
In the breast there. Because remember they mocked it in Scary Movie when they pull out the silicone of Carmen Electra.
Oh, that's exactly it. Yeah. And well, then, if there was any kind of any questions around it, then, you know, she was hanging from the tree when her mother came back.
What's the most famous thing ever? What's your favorite scary movie?
What's your favorite scary movie?
It's in that scene. Like, it's the first time we ever hear that is in that scene,
Yeah.
and then we find out this whole game. What's your favorite scary movie? Well, I think they should have played on that a little bit more though in the film itself, and maybe going out along the films, because I know they played on it a bit. But I think that should have been like every time he rang a victim, he should be like, "What's your favorite scary movie?" and then play a game with them, and then murder them, because they only did it intermittently. So another way, like Jigsaw, do you want to play a game?
Yeah.
Or
I want to play a game.
Yeah, I want to play a game. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And also, like, the trick question thing was so iconic as well.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, no, it was Pamela Voorhees in the first Friday.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's Jason Voorhees. No, you son of a bitch. It's like, no. Because, like, it could be, like, you'd be fucking sickened though if you got that one wrong. Yeah, and then the Gut Steve, her boyfriend. Yeah, I'd say that's an iconic scene as well.
That's an iconic. And I also said, like you were saying about it being called Scary Movie and being quite like that. That's gut wrenching. Quite they disembowel them. Yeah. So I mean, at this point, you'd be making it going. We can play with it. Yeah. But this is going to be a movie about people being murdered, so there will have to be. You know, and I like when a movie gives itself a balancing act, because it's also giving itself a challenge. Yeah. And Scream did it.
Yeah, and you know, at the start as well, one of my favourite parts is like one of the most harrowing parts. Is like, do you remember when she's actually being gutted while she's still on the phone and her parents arrive home?
Yes.
And they find out the carnage, and so he's like, ring the police.
And the mother goes out the front.
And she picks up the phone and she can actually hear down the receiver, hear her last breaths, like. And then he's like, she hands it off to the father takes from her. He's like, go down the road to the McAllisters or somewhere like that. And that's when she goes out, and you get that iconic scene of Drew Barrymore hung gutted from the tree. Yeah. And then it does this ultra close-up shot, speeds right up to her face, then boom,
and the mother has
intro
scream, and it was then Scream comes up in the screen. Yeah. And
so iconic.
This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. Because we were, when in the last couple of films, I guess a question that we've kind of been repeating to each other in the last two podcasts was, how will it age? Will it, like The Quiet Place, we can't say.
The reason we pick these films.
Yeah, because The Quiet Place, we can't say. It's not old enough.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't say iconic.
Yeah.
Because in 10, 15
we don't know
years,
how it's going to age, but we can tell that it has had influence because of the sensory deprivation.
Yes, absolutely.
But when you look at Scream, its influence is undoubted. I know what you did last summer.
It's in record.
Urban legend, like, you know what I mean?
Don't even forget, like, then the TV Scream Queen, the TV adaptations of things like Scream and Slasher. There's another one. I think there's 3 seasons of that, and each one was a different story. So if you were to count out the amount of hours of entertainment at a TV medium, silver screen, a big screen,
we should do the Scream TV series sometime. I've seen it; it's good.
Yeah, I think I've seen it as well, but I can't remember a damn thing about it.
It's definitely not bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's definitely entertaining. But they changed Ghostface's appearance.
That's right. I know I've seen it now, because I preferred the original Ghostface.
Oh, of course. I don't know why you changed it.
Yeah.
It's maybe just to differentiate yourself.
Well, that's it.
Maybe it was a contractual thing. You never know. Because maybe like the guys that
own... Such a silly mask. And now it's like, now you see t-shirt, a friend of mine even has a t-shirt, and it's all the big killers all on it, like Candyman and everybody else. Yeah. And it's got Ghostface, and I'm thinking, like, it was a college kid with a knife.
It's supposed to be like a Grim Reaper or something.
It was a college kid with a knife against unarmed women who won the fight by like just a hair. You know what I mean? Compared to
they're high school kids.
They're high school kids.
The oldest looking motherfucking.
Oh my god! Like, man,
like, could you imagine being in high school, right? And like right? Imagine if you when we were back in secondary school.
Yeah.
And if we looked the way like real 16 or 17-year-olds looked, and you go into a high school and they all look like 30-year-old Americans, and I'd be like, I'm not having sex for the next 5 years, am I? And don't get me wrong, I went to an all-boys school, so my sex was very minimal.
My understanding of America is that they don't have acne. They just don't,
Yeah, man, I burned that shit off my face.
Yeah, the girls are all various though. Some of them weigh 104 pounds, some of them weigh 103 pounds.
I hear one actually weighs 105 pounds.
Yeah.
They call her obese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's the bullied one.
Yeah, she's the bullied
the
one.
ostracized one.
She's
but then she lets
uncool.
down her hair.
Yeah, she took off her glasses one time. She became prom queen.
I need to go finally visit the States, and I just literally need to go to one of the schools and just go, yeah. Okay, I know now.
Can I just say one thing though? If someone stops you, and go, "What are you doing here?" I'm touring high schools.
Yeah,
might not end well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true enough.
Yeah, because we're very hairy, older looking dudes.
How many escape routes do you think this place has?
It's just like open your boot, open the trunk, sir.
But no, this was a classic thing of just incredibly beautiful people.
Yeah,
but
and it was also done on purpose.
Yes,
because it was like a mockery of, if you look at the genre in the past, you have all these older actors playing, like, even it's way closer back in, I think in the 90s they got a bit closer. You had 20-something-year-olds playing teenagers. Back in the day they had like fucking old dudes. Hey, I'm on the basketball team.
Steve Buscemi with a music band.
Yeah.
Skateboarding.
It's like, you're clearly 45.
Yeah.
Do you remember like in 21 Jump Street? Narc. It's like, what are you, like 45, dude, or something? But that's the thing about Scream. It was like, it's so many fucking iconic things though, like from the opening to the way it plays with like the genre straight away. I have all these beautiful people that are like obviously their mid to late 20s playing teenagers, because like that's what we've been seeing since the 80s, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's more fucking like, you know, like steeped in it than I should say, than Wes Craven, like the Friday the 13th franchise.
That's it.
Or sorry, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
You're like, oh my god, this, because with Drew Barrymore and with, you know, Rose McGowan and all these actresses, when we see them getting killed, it's like quite gut wrenching, but at the same time, it's not what looking at an actual 16 or 17-year-old being murdered would actually do to you, even on screen. There's just this kind of release that a fully grown adult, I don't know, it's a bit psychotic to say it out loud, but
what, when you see them get murdered, it gives you a release? Is that what you just said?
Really. I say it's fine. It's less grief on you.
Like, well, that's because we're desensitized. Though.
Yeah, they were completely desensitized. But at the same time, you see like an actual kid getting killed in the film. You see a kid get killed in Dr. Sleep. Yeah, and that was
in The Blob as well.
In The Blob, that's an iconic one. Yeah, definitely.
Because especially back then, that was unheard of.
Yeah, and it was a particularly gruesome way to go. But to actually see that, there's something like dogs. Yeah, that's another thing. Everyone agrees. There's always that scene where like the dog runs off after whatever,
and you hear it yelp,
and you hear the yelp, and it's awful. And
it
kills the rest of the family. Like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I didn't even want to watch it after that.
It's like anytime you watch Halloween, you hear a dog barking outside. You know Michael Myers is going to kill that dog.
Yeah,
100%. He hates dogs. Like,
Michael Myers hates dogs.
Always kills dogs. Like a motherfucker. But so like, what did you think of like? When you get the intro, we find out they arrive at the high school, and this is where, because the story just takes off.
Yeah, the story's, you know, it's coming up to the anniversary of the death of
Sydney's mother.
Yeah, and
Maureen Prescott.
Yes, and all these murders start happening again, and then they realise that.
Remember, they arrive at the school, and the police are all there, and they're going to interview everybody because they think it might be school involved because the one got killed. So they want to know if anybody knows her, knows anybody that knows anybody that. And does anybody know if anybody knows her? You know, like,
okay, I thought we lost you.
Yeah, it's like nearly dislocate my jaw on that one. But you know what I mean. So they're like that because I know we kind of get the first hint because Stu says that he used to go out with her, but he didn't tell the cops that. Like, you know what I mean.
Yes, that's right.
And we also get we kind of get a bit of background about it as well on Sydney because she gets called out of class. And they bring her to the principal's office, who's played by the Fonz, Henry Winkler.
Yeah.
And they go through, like, and then we kind of get, they're talking about her mother's murder, aren't they, before she comes in. And then she comes in, and like, in the space of a few seconds, you kind of get a bit of backstory straight away. Yeah. Like, because you get, Stu knows the first murder victim. He used to go out with her. And then you even get a little hint then when him and Billy like were talking, and Billy's like talking about like telling him to be subtle or some shit, like you know what I mean, right around the fuck. Sorry, did I just kick you?
And it's funny when you're looking at films that's
in reverse.
You're kind of seeing little nods, but at the same time you have to forgive yourself first time around because you'd be jumping on it. You'd be
and the first time we seen this, like we were very young as well. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
I'm not even sure. I can't even say if I got it.
Yeah,
I
didn't get the messages
because they threw it at Billy a couple of times.
Yeah,
and then Billy was in some sort of situation where he couldn't have been Ghostface. Yeah, he was just there, and Ghostface is kind of there.
That's the best thing about it. You never expect there's going to be two people.
Then it's two people. Yeah. So that was a great turnaround in this. But I thought Neve Campbell carried the burden. She had to play like a teenager already carrying a lot of grief. Yeah, and then thrown into a survival kind of scenario. I thought she did such a great job in this. Yeah, no, she did, and she aged really well through the fucking. She really matured into the role, like, you know what I mean, like, because she knew Sydney. Like, I even think now when Part 5 comes out, she's going to just jump back into that role like a duck to water. Like, she just seems to really know that character now, like, you know. Well, that's it, and also she's accepted that this is, as far as acting, this was her legacy. Yeah, this is this is a huge like this her Laurie Strode. Like, this is it, and there's no shame in that. It's a fantastic series. 100%. But I thought, like, I don't know where I would fault this. I don't know if I did fault it when it came out, because I remember leaving the cinema going, that was fucking entertaining. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with this movie at all. It's something you're thinking, like, if you had, you could probably take out these girls here or this guy here if you just sneak up on him and stab him, man. Just less of the pageantry. Yeah. But that was the slapstick that kind of made this film. It also made it a little bit more believable, because if you just run into an area with a knife, you're like, you are an extremely dangerous person in that scenario, but you're not infallible, unkillable. Yeah, they're just bumbling idiots. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're just two and somebody who's trying to survive will jump over a couch, throw a lamp at you, run up the stairs, jump out the window, fall off the roof, whatever is available to you. Everyone turns into a Jackie Chan and just starts using their environment, because what else is there to do? Like, have you seen Malignant yet? No. Oh, it's atrocious. Yeah. Hence me not seeing Malignant. You definitely should watch it, though. You will laugh a lot. Like, it's atrocious. You watch it. Yeah. I say that about a lot of films. It's awful. You should definitely watch it. I mean, but seriously, you should definitely watch that movie. It's awful. But we get that introduction of the kind of the core characters at the start of it. Like, you get like Randy, who's the real uber aware, self-aware character. Yes. He's the horror nut. He's the one I don't think first time. I think it's too long ago to tap into, but I don't think I ever suspected him. Yeah, he was he was the like the most meta of the meta. He's your characters. Sherpa. Yeah, he's your Sherpa. That's a good way of putting it. He's just going to guide you through the movie and the rules, as you said, that famous scene in the house party. Yeah, like, you don't know the rules. You got to know the rules. Like, that's so famous. Like, and like he's your Sherpa throughout. Like, he's literally like, if you've never seen a horror movie, this is what Scream is. If you've never seen a horror movie, we're going to teach you about the genre. We're going to teach you what a slasher is, what the rules of slasher is, and how this is going to go down. And that's what they do throughout the franchise. We're going to teach you, it's like Scream is like the new introduction to horror. It's like, if you haven't seen a horror movie before, we're going to teach you exactly how a horror movie should be, how it should be structured, what the rules are, who you should be looking out for, what the tropes are. We're going to teach you about the genre in this one movie. When they're going to reveal, like, I mean, even Randy dies in this movie, but they still found a way through the magic of cinema. No, he dies in part 2. Dies in part 2. Yeah. Sorry, but he even shows up after that. Yeah, as a pre-recorded video. Yeah, in part 3. In part 3, yeah. His sister brings it over. That's it. Yeah, that was it. So, like, they managed to even, like, carry his legacy through a trilogy. Yeah. Even though it wasn't even about him, but he was a Sherpa in all of them. Yeah. He was a Sherpa after he died. Exactly. Yeah. So he was a great character, and he was played excellently. Yeah, Jamie Kennedy. Yeah. Everyone knows him as the best Mask. Yeah. Who? He did the Mask. He followed Jim Carrey. Did he? He did a Mask movie. Unfortunate. Don't. And I thought that shitty prank show he used to do was the worst thing. No, don't do something Jim Carrey has done. Just leave it alone. Because Jim Carrey did it. Yeah, because you're going to be immediately compared against Jim Carrey. Yeah, exactly. Especially 1990s Jim Carrey, when he was in his comedic prime. Oh my god, like he owned the year 1994. Like. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, the man was comedy on steroids. Comedy on steroids, yeah. But Jamie Kennedy is a character. Randy will always be one that I have an awful lot of affection for. Yeah. He was just a likable goof. Yeah. And that was the thing. He was like the first cool nerd. That's it. The only one you can ever find yourself actually kind of not liking is Billy, because he just played that angsty 27-year-old teen. Yeah. Who looked like the kind of guy that would kill someone. Yeah, that was the thing. When I was a kid, when I seen this, right, I called the killer in part 1 and 2. Well, 1-on-1. I called Billy immediately, and I was like, that guy is definitely suspect. Yeah. And Mikey in part 2.
played by Tim Daly, fantastic. And like literally when I seen that, and I was still pretty young, I was like, it's definitely the film student, because that guy's psychotic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I probably didn't even know the word psychotic. I was just like, I don't trust him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because like, but like when I watched that was the only predictable thing for me about Scream 1 when I watched it the first time. Well, I was like, I'm pretty sure Billy's the killer.
But they kind of gave you your like hat now, because Billy was the first one to go up. He got the gun, he shot Randy, and then you realise Billy's the bad guy. But then when Sidney tries to escape from him, going to the kitchen, Stu comes out with the voice.
Hello, Sidney.
Hello, Sidney.
Yeah.
And then you're like, fuckers. So they gave you one on a plate.
That's what it was.
Instantly subverted your expectations.
Like, he was a red herring that turned out to be actually a confirmation, but at the same time, they were hiding Stu.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, because you're watching these things and you're trying to be clever, and sometimes it's like, no, too obvious. But is he so obvious that it is him?
Yeah, exactly.
That would be the Billy rule.
That's what I was thinking.
Head.
Like, I was like, wait, he's too obvious. And I was like, no, I actually think it is him.
Yeah.
But I never expected two killers.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the done thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it wasn't at the time. Yeah. No, it wasn't at the time. And especially, like, it was the psychology of it was like, well, no, if one guy was telling another friend that I'm going to go and kill a load of people, that friend would tell the police or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, not that it doesn't happen that, you know, killers meet each other, but it wasn't really done in films.
Look at the famous franchises: Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, like even Jason Voorhees, Pamela Voorhees was the first one, but they never appeared in the same movie together. And I know other people wore the mask in later Friday the 13th movies. There was always only one singular killer. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And I say, when you see somebody, if somebody had a T-shirt and there was Ghostface on it, the argument is which Ghostface? Because in 4 films there was
4 ghosts, 5, 4,
5, 6,
5. No,
2 in the 4th, 1 in the 3rd,
7.
Fucking 7, man.
2, 1, and 2.
There you go.
It's not.
2, 2, 1, and 2.
Yeah.
Well, the second one had 2 killers, but I don't think one of them was ever Ghostface. And Billy's mother was never Ghostface.
No, she was. She supposedly killed Randy.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, well, then
because she was like, Billy, he said something about my boy or something I don't like.
Right. So she
remember that because Nev Campbell, not to jump too far ahead, but Nev Campbell kind of rides her up by mouthing off about Billy.
Yes.
Billy was an insane fuck or something like that. She said, or a psychotic fuck or something like that, or something like that. And he was like, you shouldn't talk bad about my boy because Randy talked bad about my boy or something.
That's it.
Even though
that's fair enough. If she did, sorry, I was thinking actually donned Ghostface. And
you thought it was just Mikey and
I thought, and she was, cleaning it up, or maybe,
yeah, I know. I think they killed.
Well, then you're right. Then it's like, so there's 7. So you're talking about, and it's not like Jason Voorhees, where different body models, like different.
But not one guy did pretend to be Jason Voorhees in one of them.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah, and then because Jason Voorhees came back in the next movie afterwards.
Yeah.
I think it's called Jason Lives is the next one. So I think it was part 5. Yeah, it was the one after final chapter.
I'm just saying 7 Ghostfaces in 4 films is so like when you see it on a T-shirt, it's the fact of the matter is you're talking could be one of 7.
As long as it all depends on what movie it says.
Yeah, that's true.
Then it's up to you. Are you Mrs. Loomis?
But I always think that the original Scream killer, it's Billy, and I know there was 2 of them, but for me it was like
because Stu was more of a psychic.
Yeah.
And I think the successful kills were generally Billy's kills.
Yeah.
And I think Stu fucked up most of the time, and I think that's what it was.
Billy was the man with a plan.
Yeah.
Like, Billy was walking away from this.
Yeah.
And
because he was going to pin it on Stu.
He was going to pin it on Sidney's dad at one point.
Remember then, though, wasn't he planned though? Like he accidentally cut me too deep. I'm a little boozy, man.
But he never actually kills him. I was always a bit confused.
I think he was going to stab him out and leave Stu then as a victim.
Yeah.
And then he because he stabbed him way deeper than he stabbed Billy.
Yeah.
I remember he was like, I'm bleeding out here, man.
I feel a little bit woozy.
Yeah, my parents
the old television crushing the skull is a good way.
Television kills, man.
Television kills, yeah.
So what did you make? Because we'll go into the climax of this and then we'll fucking take a little break and then we'll go into Scream 2. But like we already touched on the climax, like the most iconic thing, like, about the rule sequence where Jamie Kennedy stands up and then you have the whole house party and then they find out then that Henry Winkler's principal got killed and he's like left hanging on the goalpost, which I'm assuming it's a cutscene.
All the kids are running out. Everyone runs out to try and get to it. Yeah.
My favorite part about this scene is, do you know when they do the run through when Dewey shows up? My name's Deputy. What's his surname? Because he asked Dewey, it's like Deputy something. But because he's Tatum's brother, isn't he? But Dewey, he is Tatum's brother, actually, isn't he?
Deputy Dewey.
Is that all it says? Is it?
Yeah, it's all it says.
His real name's Dwight, isn't it? But his run through and he's walking through the house when it's being emptied out, and at this stage, Billy's after being upstairs having sex with Nev Campbell, and then Sydney, sorry, and then he supposedly have died because Ghostface came in. Remember the fake blood?
Yeah.
And this is where the place is all cleared out, and then David Arquette's Deputy Dewey shows up. And he's walking through the house, and because Halloween's still on the TV, they actually use the music from Halloween to set the tone, the dumb, that one, the kind of the reoccurring like piano.
It's genius when you think of it.
Yeah, because they
talk about a real meta thing to do. Set up a platform where organically you could be using the Halloween music without just robbing it, robbing the composition,
and it's so good because
so clever.
And Jamie Lee Curtis screams at one part in the movie and everything, like, and it sets you on edge within a scene, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such a good film.
And like what you like the final sequence of like this is where we get all the major kills. Like Courtney Cox survives here and shit. Like, but Randy gets stabbed. Or no, he gets shot. Dewey gets stabbed. The camera
always gets stabbed.
Yeah,
you don't have to say Dewey
human
gets
pincushion.
It's a standing observation. Like, we're going to do all the films. Dewey gets stabbed, okay?
The cameraman gets his throat slit.
The cameraman gets his throat slit. That was a good kill.
Yeah, that was a good. And
then Tatum's kill was the coolest.
Yeah,
I think.
And it's a funny sequence as well before it as well. Like, but do you know? Remember, actually, Courtney Cox is not the funny part I was talking about. Just in case people think I'm psychotic. But when she turns on the fucking window wipers, and the blood, but
he falls off the roof.
Yeah, no, I was saying the funny scene with Tatum, and your man before that though is like when she's like calling them on, and she's like throwing beer bottles and shit. And like there's such a shitty way to try to escape though, like, you know what I mean, through a dog door.
Trying to go through a dog door.
Maybe put the door up and try to go under it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's how he kills her. Like,
or like try and fend them off long enough that he just has to make a run for it.
Yeah,
or like he could stay there all day.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine it's 3 hours later.
Yeah,
there's like two of them bloody on the ground.
Somebody just kind of comes in and goes, "Just go grab a beer."
Yeah, just walks away.
What's going on here? Not getting involved.
But what do you make of the big reveal of, we find out, as you said, where Billy, we knew, Stu comes out then, or surprise Sydney, that's what he says, surprise Sydney, and then you see the father and you see the big plot and shit like that. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, of course they did. It was great because Stu was a surprise. The giant killers with the plan, and also they had this really fucked up dynamic between them, where you realise they were a perfect storm of just like manic, and it's like the Joker and Lex Luthor. You know what I mean? One was cold and calculated, and one was kind of like just enjoyed the chaos of it all.
Yeah, it just wants to see the world burn.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was Stu's whole deal.
Yeah, because
he could have gone on and just never killed again. I'd say that Billy.
Yeah,
you know, if it suited his purposes.
Because Billy was all about vengeance.
Oh, Billy was all about vengeance, and
like humiliating her family in the same way he felt his family was humiliated by her mother having an affair with his father.
Yes,
and that's all it was. It was about like recompense of the humiliation. That's why he was so dead set on taking her virginity, because he wanted to take her innocence before he killed her and all this shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Keeping a relationship going with her for like 9 months or something. Yeah, must have been a doozy.
Oh, it must have been so hard. But the big reveal I thought was fucking awesome. Like, and it's actually legendary as well. And we talk about all the ad libs and stuff like that. Like, you know, and in like what is it in this one? Like the killer always comes back for one more. She's like, not in my movie.
Not in my movie.
Yeah,
because she gets away from them and then she calls them.
Yeah,
and she's like, the police are on their way and blah blah blah. It's fucking over and all that kind of stuff. And that's great. It's, you know, because you do like the comeuppance. You do like when it gets turned on its head. And this film does a really good job of that.
Yeah, of
her finally fighting back. But I thought their kind of meltdown when they see their whole plan
unravel.
I thought it was just brilliantly done. And again, so much ad-libbing.
I love when she like stabs him with the, like, she comes out, she stabs him like an umbrella, and she like shoots her finger in his bullet wound and everything, like, you know what I mean? It's just like a real nasty kind of fight, like, you know what I mean? That's one of my favourite things about the Scream movies, because the fighting's real ugly and awkward and clumsy, and people are like throwing vases at each other and throwing lamps, and they're like,
because that's what you had to have.
Exactly, because like if you're being chased through your house, you're just going to start chucking stuff. Whatever's chasing to try to slow it down so you can get the fuck out of there. And like it's not this like big elaborate kill sequence. It's just a chase, and it's usually clumsy, and as you said, Ghostface takes a lot of punishment, like, you know what I mean? Which I think is mostly too. You know what I mean? Because I was trying to look through it, and I'm just like, I think when he gets a lot, like even though I think Billy does get a bit of punishment, he's like running away from Drew Barrymore and stuff, or does he just kind of hunt her down? Actually, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah, and like, is it? Yeah, because the first time he sees the first person that gets away is Neve Campbell, isn't it? Because she gets attacked later on, and I think that's too, because he's like real clumsy and she like beats the fuck out of him. And then he gets away. Doesn't he attack her in her house?
He does. That's
and that's why when Billy gets arrested, because he shows back up and a phone falls out of his pocket.
Yeah,
and she's like, it's a suspect.
1996.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's not like, who the fuck has a mobile?
Yeah.
And nowadays you're like, if they had no phone, you're like, what's going on there?
We searched his pockets and there was no phone. Like,
he must have chucked it.
Yeah, he must have chucked it. That's it.
Yeah.
He must have chucked it. But I thought the comeuppance. I thought again, even just not in my movie, it had that like it's just been revoked.
Yeah.
Final shot kind of moment.
Nice and cheesy.
But that's what it deserved. And I don't know what Billy's plan was. As in, like when Randy kind of says they always come back for one more scare, and Billy kind of goes, blah. Like what's the plan, Billy? Walk me through it.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scare her into dropping that gun, and then I'm going to get the gun.
That's the closest thing. But he kind of reaches up and goes, nah.
Yeah. Well, he is psychotic.
Yeah, true enough. But I would like,
I'm just checking to see if Mrs. Loomis is around here in case she drags me into a van. Motherfucker.
But yeah, he gets the bullet through the head, and it was just. It was it was so grounded and not at all grounded at the same time. You have to understand that we're not far out of the complete over the topness that was the 80s.
Yeah.
Of the Hellraisers, the Reanimators, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, the Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Gore, body count.
Unkillable, eternal.
Yeah.
You know.
That was the whole thing. Which villain was more unkillable than the other?
Yeah.
And that was like,
this introduced a villain that
it's human.
And in fact, his superpower was that he could walk amongst you.
Yeah.
His superpower was that
which is the same with any psychopath.
He was the same as any psychopath, which is something that's actually truly terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I thought that was...
I'm here.
Yeah. I'm here. But that's it. I thought that was the coolest thing about the film. And when Scream came out, I think Kevin Williams knew it was going to be a hit because he started writing the second screenplay during production.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's why the second film managed to come out so close. He was like, yeah, we're on.
It's like 2 years apart or something, isn't it?
I think it's 14 months or something.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's not long at all.
Yeah, there's few genres like horror that can do a quick turnaround like horror.
Yes.
Because of the low budget.
And that was it, low budget, and they were able to, low budget, and it would, even the premise of it, you didn't need to structurally set up a lot. You need a school, you need some kids, you need Sydney to come back, and you need people to you need a lot of fake blood.
Yeah. Do you want to take a break before we go and Scream 2, or are you happy to keep plowing on through?
Just give me two. Just open the window for 1 minute, and then we'll go straight into it.
Cool, Carl, cut this bit. So Noel, so what do you think of, like, do you think it was a worthy finish into this kind of like really, really fucking legendary horror?
I thought the ending was absolutely fantastic. And we always say this, like, I mean, we watch horror films that were complete and total Simone Biles off the bat and just do not stick the landing. Absolutely fantastic. It's everything you want. And then it has.
I was not expecting the gymnastics.
But it has everything. It's beautiful, absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And then it's just stumbles, and sometimes we're literally talking. Wait, last second. I do mean sometimes the last second.
Yeah.
So for this film to stick the landing, it was like all of the chaos that we touched upon in all the kills up to that point, culminating into the biggest amount of chaos and the turnaround and the vengeance, and it all in a couple of minutes. We even had the juxtaposition where somebody just kind of like stops killing for a second and goes, "So here is my plan all along." Yeah. I love the fact that like they didn't speak to any of the other victims that they were going to kill, even though they too would have taken their secret to the grave.
Well, it was all for Sydney, though.
It was all for Sydney.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
She was the special one.
Yeah, it's all for you, Sydney.
All for you, Sydney. December 20th, 96 and December 12th, 97.
Yeah, so a year apart.
So like 8 days, less than a year. That's insane. Like, even because I know, again, it doesn't rely on special effects so much and all that kind of stuff, but it's still a movie. Yeah,
it's a very simplistic costume as well.
Yeah, that's it. So they just, wow, like that's impressive. But then again, when when they started realising how much money, they made 11.5 times their money back in the first one.
Yeah, and there's always going to be a sequel.
By God, is it done? Is it done? Because you could just do it now.
Yeah, exactly. There's always going to be a part 2. And
there's always going to be a part 2.
Yeah, and which we will talk about after the break.
After the break.
Yeah, so no, we go get the fuck out of here for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
All right, so this is Invasion Potty Snatchers. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel Tui.
We got Carmack in the back, and we'll be back right after this motherfucking break. Now, word from our sponsors.
Can you see me right now? Okay. What am I doing? Huh? What am I doing? Hello? Nice try, Randy. Tell Tatum to hurry up, okay? Bye now.
If you hang up on me, you'll die just like your mother. Do you want to die, Sydney? Your mother sure didn't.
Fuck you, you creep.
Welcome back from your break. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
He's your host, Vincent Green.
You suck. This is Invasion Potty Snatchers. In the first half, we were talking about Scream 1. And the second part, we're going to college. And we're going, all the remaining survivors of Woodsboro somehow managed to find themselves in the same college.
Yeah.
As they do. But so Noel, this time to pick it back up, it's set a year later, I think, from the original. It was actually made a year later, as you said, it was released a year later or whatever.
That's correct.
And we pick it back up the story where Sydney's in college. She has herself a new boyfriend. Like pretty much everyone she hangs around with looks like the most plain motherfuckers ever.
Oh my God!
You know what I mean? Like even the way they dress, it's all like turquoise and teal. All these washed.
Their favorite spice is flour.
Yeah, it's like literally like everything is just like looks like a tennis club.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And she stands out because she's like wears a hoodie. And she's edgy because she wears a leather jacket.
She's been through some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like her friends, like Randy and her and stuff, they stand out a lot amongst the crowd they hang out with. And it's kind of like they're trying their best to be normal, but who they really are is still showing through. You know, that kind of way. Like, even though they can put themselves in amongst these people, they still stand out because of what they've been through or who they are, like, you know.
Yes.
And that's why they look so different than, like, a Jerry O'Connell or, who was Sydney's friend? The girl that was trying to get her into the sorority. Oh, what was her name? Her name was Maureen. No, that's the one that gets killed at the start. Actually, the opening of this is actually pretty iconic as well in the cinema.
Yes, with Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah, Hallie was her friend. Sorry, Elise Neal, I think is.
Yeah, that was pretty iconic, wasn't it? And also kind of like, you're thinking if you were going to commit a string of murders that you wouldn't go with like the one you're least likely to get away with.
Yeah.
Going into a theater. Don't get me wrong, people are distracted. There's a film on.
Everyone's wearing the same outfits though.
Yes, that's true. And also there was like so many scenes of horror going on inside the film that he was using that to his advantage
because it was the premiere Stab.
Exactly,
the movie based on the Woodsboro massacre.
And it seemed like like one of these films that a lot of people who had seen it had gone back to it. You know, I'd already had this Rocky Horror Picture Show kind of thing going on, throwing popcorn at the screen kind of jazz. And fucking Jada Pinkett Smith was another kind of up and coming. You know, we knew who she was. Yeah. And to see her get killed at the start, it was quite cool the way she goes down and just screams in the front, and she's completely done for. Yeah. And the boyfriend gets the one that made fun of in Scary Movie, where he gets a knife through the side of the head.
With the glory hole in Scary Movie.
In Scary Movie.
He puts in his ear, doesn't he?
He sticks in it. That's it, make a lot of racket, and then apparently magically know when he's after pressing his head up against the wood.
Yeah.
And then just stab through it, because that sounds like something that'd be really easy to do.
Yeah.
And and that's it. It starts but they had to, and I like the fact that they set up something that's very eerie in real life.
Yeah.
Is that if something completely absolutely crazy happens, a made for TV movie or something on Netflix or something in this day and age is on the way.
Well,
you know, iconic murders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There is like people consume it. They want their film of it and stuff like that, so that they So they really leaned into that, because Stab was the Scream inside of the Scream universe.
And like they really lean on that as it goes along as well. It's so fucking good, isn't it? Like,
oh god,
the Stab franchise. Is this the
Heather
first?
Graham playing Casey.
Yeah,
you know, I thought that was just brilliant.
What did you think of the idea of having the franchise within the franchise though? Like, it's just,
I think they had to do it.
It just added such a cool air to it though.
I think they
like
a
Stab is nearly as iconic as Scream.
Yeah, and, you know, and Gail,
he made 2 franchises.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And Gail, of course, had, you know, had met her bones on kind of being a journalist who had been
Gail Weathers,
involved.
Courtney Cox. We actually didn't probably talk enough about her. In
probably
part
didn't talk about enough about her in part 1 because she was absolutely integral to the whole thing. And then Dewey Riley, by the way.
And her haircuts kind of become like every time. Dewey Riley is it?
Yeah.
But her haircuts become iconic as each and every movie.
Yeah.
It isn't like she always has this weird thing.
That's because she'd spent time with Jennifer Aniston, and once Jennifer Aniston had the Rachel, she was like, okay. Let's see how it is.
The Fringe, Dawn Part 3.
Yeah. I can't win them all.
Yeah, she's like her hair looks good. What am I talking about hair for? No, so like we get reintroduced at the start, like the intro, at the Stab premiere or whatever. Stab, it's like a screening of Stab. Loads of people are there. They're all wearing Ghostface masks. The boyfriend gets killed in the bathroom stall. Then she gets stabbed to death in the actual movie theater.
Yeah.
Because, as I said, everyone
cuddles up to her killer, thinking it's her boyfriend. Yeah.
Which is kind of like something similar to happen in Halloween too. Remember, not Halloween movie 2, but Halloween also, which I actually think might be in Halloween 2. But do you remember the Michael is driving and she gets in the car? Actually, I think that's Halloween 4. Where her boyfriend.
You're killing this, by the way.
Yeah, there's so many fucking Halloweens, man. But her boyfriend just happens to be named Michael as well, and he's supposed to be wearing a mask. And Michael Myers is actually wearing the mask her boyfriend was supposed to be wearing over his mask. And he drives her to the party. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's that thing where people kind of
nailed it.
They're so macabre that people lean into some really, really dark things, and there is kind of an element of that of like, imagine if it backfired, and I think this kind of it leans into it as well.
Yeah,
I thought it was good to see that Sydney, while safe for the most part, and with her very like copy and paste for boring friends, but safe. She
was trying her best to have the safest life possible, I think.
Yes, and also she didn't want any of the press. She didn't want any of the light that Gail wanted so badly. Yeah, and
she wanted to forget it, and Gail wanted to be remembered for.
Oh yeah, I mean, because you have to understand at this stage, it was her boyfriend had murdered her mother.
Yeah,
she had murdered her boyfriend.
One of her best friends killed some of her best friends.
Yeah, absolutely, and she could do nothing to help them, and she's just survivor's guilt. All of that kind of stuff. You feel like a fool. So seeing the signs.
There's 4 remainers from the first one.
There's Randy, there's Gail, there's Dewey, and there's
Sydney. Yes. That's it. It's not everyone else dies.
Everyone else is dead.
Like literally everyone else.
Literally everyone else.
So like that'd be like, right, me, you, Lorraine, and Sheila survive, and all of our friends got murdered.
Yeah.
By your other friends.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? And like, you know what I mean? That's fucked up. Could you imagine the guilt you feel? Like, why did I survive? Why did I make it out?
And especially if it's just kind of abstinence that you survive. It wasn't because you like Rambo'd them or something.
And the only reason you survived is because a lot of the ways they were kind of waiting to kill you last.
Yeah.
And a lot because they wanted to show you their great plan. You know what I mean? Like, so you only the only reason you survived in that way is because the killer willed it to be that way, to an extent. You know what I mean? And then you were able to outsmart the killer and able to kill both of them or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? But for a long time, she was actually only being kept alive.
Yeah.
So people could be murdered in front of her. You know what I mean? And a lot of the ways she was the reason they were dying.
She became like a Batman in Gotham, where the people would be able to ask the question like, is she just a lightning rod or just psychosis?
Yeah.
Because Billy's gripe in the first film did not justify any of his actions, even remotely.
Yeah.
And in the second one, I think when she finds she's in the middle of it again, she does approach it as being even more weary, but also less out and out petrified.
Yeah.
Like I found she was a bit more willing to run into danger.
More like, I want to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
I'm sick of this shit. And that's the way she kind of goes along. That's what I like about her as a character. She goes along. She does run from the killer, don't get me wrong, at times when she's like in a bad situation. Sometimes
she's tactical. She's trying to survive.
Exactly, yeah. But I like it as the more the movies go along, she's like, I just want to fucking find out who this fucker is.
Yes.
Who's wearing the mask now?
Yeah.
Because I'm sick of this shit. And that's what I like about her. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can even see like the boyfriend, of course. You know,
she was like, who should I be suspicious of?
Yeah.
And if it's a horror fan following the trope, and if it's a horror person that's reimagining the first killings, the massacre of Woodsboro, is it my boyfriend? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe he's trying to pretend to be so plain. Like the way, like, you know, Billy always just seemed a bit damaged, but it's just Billy, like, you know what I mean? But never killed 12 people damaged, you know what I mean? Like, and like it's kind of like, who's playing with me now? And that's what I like about part 2. It's like, as Randy says, you don't understand. Everyone's a suspect.
But I thought like when you noticed it, that Randy and especially Dewey was the only person that Sidney was ever really happy to see.
Yeah,
like he was the only person that ever just through and through
pure safe.
Pure safe and was brave and had earned her respect.
Yeah, big brother.
Big brother. She just ran to him when she seen him first. And then you saw that Gail was a little bit cutthroat, that she had forwarded her own career. And when she tries to ambush her with an interview with Cotton Weary, who played by Liv Schreiber,
amazing actor,
who was framed for the original murder of Maureen Prescott's his mother.
By Billy Loomis and
Stu. And now he's kind of looking for his 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
And
which he's kind of owed.
Yeah, see, that's the thing I thought about that character. The fact of the matter is, you're probably not getting a job.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I think if I had accused someone of murdering someone and I was in the wrong and the killers were caught, the first thing I would do is I would go to that person. I would apologize immensely and then I'd say, how can I help you?
Yeah,
that's the first thing I would say to them.
The thing is, if I have to spend a week on the circuit, that dude could be making 20-30 grand an appearance. Yeah, and maybe that just gets.
And she's going to get paid as well.
That's it. Yeah,
and if she doesn't want to,
it's not pure. But she
doesn't want to take money from him, give her the cotton.
Yeah, I think she was happy enough for him to, like, you do you, but like, do not drag me into.
Like, he's kind of needy and stuff, but like, look at his world. He got accused of a crime. He spent a year in prison. Like, his world is over in that moment. Because I know later on he does triumph and he does prosper and stuff as the movies go along. But in that moment, he's fresh out of prison. All he wants is get money, get a quick book, get his life going again. Yeah. And she could have given him a week. At least if she didn't want to take money because she thought it was blood money, give the cotton.
That's the thing.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think she didn't want any of it. She didn't want anybody making money off it, or she didn't want this to be something that.
That's what she hated Gail for writing the book.
She hated Gail for writing the book, and Dewey wasn't particularly fond of it either, because she described him as being kind of like
a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, she compared him to somebody, and I had to look him up.
Barney Fife, was it?
That's the one. Yeah, and he just seemed like the.
It's an old school cop thing from in America, wasn't it?
Yeah, a motorbike cop, and in very middle America. I saw you jaywalking. I saw you. You know. Hapless, stupid, off balance, kind of almost a Mr. Magoo thing.
Yeah, I was actually thinking Mr. Magoo. Yeah. That's the second week in a row you stole my thoughts. That's weird.
Well, I think like
get out of my head.
Later on, their kind of passion ignites and stuff. But at the same time, I kind of was one part of the film I didn't like, because I would be just very much fuck you.
Yeah.
I fucking took to help take down some killers and I saved some lives and I got stabbed for my fucking troubles.
Yeah.
And the least I could do was not have somebody tell the world that I'm a fucking dickhead.
Yeah.
You know, which she did.
And he saved her life on multiple occasions. And kissed her very sweetly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
tenderly.
He was a very tender lover, I thought.
And made a little Arcox. That's what their kids were called in my head.
Arcox.
Yeah. Arcox.
You see that episode of Friends right after she double barreled her name to Courtney Cox Arquette, and they put Arquette after everybody's name. It's fucking brilliant.
But I thought, like, you know, there is a lot. Men in Black 2, as Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty said, was all I can remember is that Men in Black 2 was a joyless cash grab, and I always thought it was a good go-to for a film that didn't need to exist, but existed.
It was so poorly done as well.
Because the first film was so good. Seemed to, in the very meta way, did exactly what sequels do.
Yeah.
And it carried that, like Randy even saying, look, they go bigger.
Go bigger, go home.
Yeah. Characters from the original film are not safe.
Yeah. People from your past come back. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Or is that part 3? Sorry.
No, it's part 3. And he was like, that's the rules of a sequel.
Do you know in the... Sorry, will you finish your point?
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, sorry. Do you know in the film class sequence where it's like Sarah Michelle Gellar, Joshua Jackson, Pacey or whatever, you know, because Kevin Williamson created Dawson's Creek, and you have Randy's in the class, and they're all like, you know, swapping movies, like which is a better sequel and all this stuff like that. And they're trying to say which sequel is better than the original. And there's a part actually where there's a mistake in that scene because Timothy Olyphant says, I think it was Timothy Olyphant, or one in memory, the other film class student says, "Get away from her, you bitch," in reference to aliens. And Randy corrected him by saying, "Stay away from her, you bitch," which is actually "Get away from her, you bitch" is the correct line. So he actually corrected him with the wrong line.
And he's Randy.
And
he's Randy. He's the one who worked in the bookstore. He was like me and you were horror fans, but he'd be that guy that would show up and like just lived and breathed and
and the best thing about it is he prefaces or he like emphasizes how right he is, but going, dude, it is film class. I'm like, you sure?
You did that on purpose because it seems.
No, I actually checked up about this because I was like, am I wrong? And then I checked it up. I Googled it. Seemingly the first actor actually said someone else was supposed to say the line, stay away from her, you bitch, and he was supposed to be corrected by, it's actually get away from her, you bitch.
And somebody mixed up the...
Somebody said, I think it was, I can't remember, but whoever says the line, I think it's Timothy Olyphant or whatever, the film student actor, says the line that he's not supposed to say, and that threw Jamie Kennedy off. So he corrected him with the wrong line, and because of the flow of the scene, they just left it.
They just said that's good.
Yeah, they just left it. Like,
see, that's it.
Yeah.
Everyone. That's the most copied one. Is I'm walking here when a car nearly takes.
I'm walking here,
and that's I've seen even Spider-Man. I'm swinging here, and it just goes on and on. But
because I think that's a pure New York thing, though.
But I do think that if the flow is right,
just leave it. I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
if I was the director and I seen that, I'd
show
like
the fallibility of Randy.
But dude, if I was the director and I seen that, it seemed like we're going from the top.
We're going from the top,
and we're watching Aliens straight after this.
Call Jada Pinkett Smith. I mean, we're going from the top.
From the top. It's just left a sour taste in my mouth. We're going from the top.
What's the first kill? I'm trying to remember because I'm sorry. I'll be honest. My brain is absolutely inundated with 4 Scream movies. All screaming at me at the same time. What's the first kill outside of
Jada Pinkett Smith and her boyfriend? The next
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
The next Cece gets killed she gets thrown out the window at the sorority house. Sober sister.
Yes.
This scene is actually brilliant because they play with you. It's a fake scare, real scare. I know it's a trope, but they do really well here. So
tropes are tropes for reasons. Execution has to be a huge part.
Exactly, like, you know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, jump scares are a trope, and like, you've got shit in your pants, dude. It might be a trope, but it worked on you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that kind of way. Like,
you shit yourself, and all that happened is that somebody was sitting in their car and somebody came up and knocked on the window. Like, you tell me who's the fool here. Like,
it's like I used to hate when. Do you know before you figure that out when you're a kid and you watch it? I was like, stop doing that to me.
That. That's why they have to stop using medicine cabinets. And that was the big
it's done to death now. Like, shit, what was I talking about?
We're talking about the first death of Cece.
Cece. So I love this scene because Ghostface rings her, what's your favorite scary movie? And they talk back and forth. And then she thinks of some guy called Ted. He's drunk. And first she's talking to her friend. And she got a call on the other line, and she takes the call, and so it's Ghostface, and she thinks it's Ted. Her kind of like it's like a booty call, like, you know what I mean. And so she hangs up on her friend, says, "Yeah, I'll ring you back and let you know whatever." And she talks to them, and she realizes it's not Ted. They're talking to her, and she hears a noise upstairs, and then all of a sudden she turns around. It's actually one of her sorority sisters that are still in the house, and she goes, and you think, oh, maybe that's what it is. And then the fucking Ghostface shows up after she goes. Then and then she gets thrown out the fucking window and shit. Like, but I love that scene, the way it plays with you the whole way through. It's like, is this Ghostface? Is this someone playing a prank?
Yeah.
Or is this the movie playing a prank on himself?
You know what I mean? Sometimes you open it up and it's just something.
It's like,
and you. And then you turn around and get killed. Yeah, of course. But that's what your brain is supposed to be doing. That's what horror films do to you more than anything else.
Yeah,
it's not like a film, a die-hard, gun-heavy film where you think, I think he's going to go in and there'll probably be somebody in his left and he's going to jump underneath a desk and he's probably going to try. No, the films don't play with your expectations that way. Horror movies make you do these mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
And all that's actually happening on screen is that she's walking down the hallway or up a stairway. That's all that's happening.
Yeah.
And you are doing mental
because a lot of the time it's because of the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, the music is setting the tone. It's like, because we were talking about earlier on with Halloween.
Carol is always telling us that we don't talk about that.
The Foley work.
That's kind of the kind of thing that he does. So obviously he gets sucked into it a lot more than we do. And the thing is, all we know is that we're actually getting the effect of it.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you what the music was in that scene.
Yeah.
All I know is that it was working.
I love that. There's very few genres that like horror and that has the same relationship with its music. Like horror is very dependent on the score, because you take out like the theme or the score for Halloween, and you play those same scenes, they're not going to have anywhere near the same impact. You put a thing like out there, or you put the thing out there, you don't have that same background music, or you don't have the alarm, that playing over and over, constantly unsettle you. Like, if you don't have these sounds,
or really sweet songs played on an old vinyl, like Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get? Exactly. It's so awful juxtaposed.
Exactly, because it's a cheery voice.
Exactly, it's awful. It's awful inside.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like when you listen to something really, really old, because it has that weird kind of like, you know music better than me, but you know when you listen to like an old vinyl or an old gramophone, you know that weird
scratch.
Yeah, that little skip.
That little scratch.
Yeah, that little skip.
Or even when it's going on first, that sound can be quite.
Or do you know when it ends and it's still turning?
Oh, and that's it. That's what I'm talking about. All of these things have an effect on you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and it's so simplistic.
It's so simplistic. And I think
horror's the best at doing that, I think.
I think we go and you realise that the two things that are doing the most to you in horror are not what you're seeing. Well, that's a part of it, but I think the top two things are what the music is doing to you, and also what you're doing to yourself in terms of what you think the music means.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, all Sarah Michelle Gellar's Cece was doing, for example, was walking upstairs, and then there is a scuffle, and then she does get thrown to her death, and that's completely visual.
Yeah.
But everything that led you there was such a mind game.
Yeah.
And it was
really bait and switch. Like,
it shows you how it takes a village to make, because the screenplay was the screenplay, and Kevin Williams is brilliant. But at the same time, somebody had to look at it and go, what would make this work? Yeah,
and Sarah Michelle Gellar adds so much to the...
She does.
Yeah, she's such a talented actress as well.
And that's it. She did, like, over the score of the scope of these 4 films, I think I was in one of them. I'm pretty sure I'm probably in the background.
I'm pretty sure I was Ghostface in Scream 4.
I just googled Scream cast, and obviously it decided to throw everybody in there together. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, it's anybody that's ever been an actor.
Yeah, yeah, especially like young blonde women. Like
blonde women, sex symbols of the... We said this, we had Neve Campbell, who was obviously Meta Bones in these films. We had Rose McGowan, we've Hayden Panettiere, we've
Drew Barrymore,
we've got Heather Graham.
Yeah, what's her face?
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Sarah Marshall, what's her name? Something Bell.
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell, she's in one too, isn't she?
She's in Stab.
She's in Stab 3.
She's in the final Stab before we get into Scream 4. Yeah.
This is like, it got really crappy after like Stab 4, because like Sydney Prescott said she was going to sue them or something to keep making it. Remember that? I was like, I think Stab 7 had time travel or something. I just fucking love that, man. Is that Scream 4? Is that the intro of Scream 4?
But I'm just saying, it was the thing is, the only thing you're ever sure of is that Neve Campbell was going to be the final girl. But somehow this film did make me think on first viewing that maybe she dies in it. In part 2? Yeah. Because it broke its own rules a lot in part 2. It was breaking its own rules a lot. Now, I should have thought it was obviously going for a trilogy. Yeah. And it did. Yeah. But at the same time, I thought, will it? Yeah. But what it did do really well is it managed to be its own film. I think that's what Scream does a lot. It's like, I don't think they plan on sequels. They're like, we're going to leave enough people alive that the franchise can stay alive. But I think it's obviously going to be Sydney centric because she's the main protagonist. Yeah. But I think that's the problem. The thing you were about to touch on with the Scream films. The part 1 is obviously standalone because it was the first one made. Yeah. But part 2 could easily be in a standalone in itself. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what I think where you make a strong sequel because of that. Yeah. Because it's its own film, and you're building off what part 1 did. It's solid foundations, but you're not like trying to build all this universe. But you're leaving enough loose threads that a universe is possible. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, so you leave a Sydney alive, or you leave... Randy dies in part 2, doesn't he? So you leave a dude... Randy dies in part 2, and her boyfriend, who, like, right just before he's dead, you think maybe he's... Oh, no, he's the one who put me up to this, and he's stuck on the Jerry O'Connell, and then he takes a bullet straight into the middle of the chest, and he dies innocent. There should be more trust in Sydney or something. It's not what he says. Exactly. Timothy Olyphant, isn't it? Yeah. But I thought Raylan Gibbons. Yeah, it did. I didn't care about this cast of characters as much as I cared about the first one. Yeah. But I don't know if I can blame the film for that. Yeah, because you're always going to compare, though. You're always going to compare, and there's something about the first. Yeah. It's even like if you look at something like a spoof like Scary Movie, the first cast is way more iconic than the second cast. Yeah, absolutely. Because straight away the second cast is going to get compared to the first cast, was the first cast you don't really have anything to compare to when the first time it happens, you know? Yes. And that's why first movies are often more loved than sequels, the goofy character from the first one will always be the original goofy character. Yeah. So if you have a goofy character in the second one, you're just going to be like, oh, so this is the new goofy character. Oh, that's Randy 2.4 or 2.0. Stu 2.4. Yeah. Yeah, which we had a stew.
Yeah, do you remember even the what's the black actor's name in the bald guy? What's his fucking name?
In
Scream 4, remember, or Scream 3? He's like, "You're the new Randy." No, I'm not. Yeah. He's like, "You work in a video store, and your name is what was his fucking name?" But like, I love the way they just like straight away. That's something they make fun of straight. That constantly happens in horror movies.
But that's it. Because the film always has to go bigger. This one didn't necessarily go bigger in like, oh, now there's 25 ghost faces and they're using chainsaws.
Yeah, exactly.
It went bigger into its own meta-ness.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, because the hallmark of this franchise is how meta or how like self-aware that it is.
That's it. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like when you look at like Friday the 13th. The kills was what it was famous for, so that's what it leaned on. You look at Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, the dreams are what it was known for, so that's what it leaned on. And Halloween, it was the suspense, and for a while that's what it leaned on until it went insane. But like, and then you have Scream, it's known for its self-awareness, so that's how
you missed the opportunity there and go, do you know what Halloween was known for? It's suspense.
Yeah. Sorry, I failed as an actor. I never make a good actor.
But yeah, I thought the second film, I thought it was. I don't know if I made the point properly, but like it was a second film that deserved to be made.
Yeah,
you felt love
for sure.
Felt like it felt like like you said, it could have been a TV series. It could have been the 6th episode of a TV series. It bled from the first into the second. It felt like a second season because everyone was just a little bit older and they were on a precipice in the first one of leaving high school and going to college. So they went over the precipice, most of them got killed, and then they went into college and we got a whole new crowd. Yeah,
and it felt very organic because
it felt very organic.
What would you do after something like that? You'd move away.
You
know what I mean? And then obviously like because you're like, okay, I think this. I read up a little bit about. I think they were like saying it's in Ohio or somewhere like that, and Woodsboro is like a fictional town in Southern California or something like that. So I think there's like obviously a lot of a distance between that. It's like I want to go to where's the safest thing you can think of in America? Yeah. Middle America. And I'm going to go to somewhere like Ohio where it's just real chill and it's completely different. That's what know.
Unfortunately, she can't escape because of
the legacy of it.
She can't escape the legacy.
of and Gail's book.
And Gail's fucking
the Woodsboro murders or something.
Yeah, it's why she hates Gail so much. Well, and the ambush interview that's where she actually punches Gail, which I thought was a great scene. Yeah. Or open hand slaps her, I can't recall.
I love her cameraman. Is it the cameraman in this?
There's a cameraman in the second one. Yeah. Did not want to die.
Yeah.
Omar or something is the actor's name.
I actually couldn't find that dude.
Is it Phil?
Is it Phil? Yeah.
Phil, played by Omar Epps.
Oh, right.
Just like,
no, Omar Epps is the guy that gets killed at the start.
Oh, my apologies.
I don't think he's actually on this list, dude.
Is he? Well, he deserves it because he got some great lines.
Yeah, I think it's Phil's like, she's like, when I say record Phil, I mean fucking record. Courtney Cox plays the bitch so brilliantly though, doesn't she? Like, she really does.
Absolutely brilliant. And I don't know, I thought they tried to expand the universe and they did, and they tried to expand the storyline and they did, and they managed to do it in a way where you didn't feel like they kicked down the door to do it.
Yeah, it wasn't forced at all.
Yeah. And the deaths were like some not completely over the top. They were very reminiscent of some of the first ones. Thrown through a window, stabbed to death.
Yeah.
Pulled into the back of a van, stabbed to death.
There's only so many ways you can kill someone with a knife though.
Yeah, but that's kind of it, isn't it?
You know what I mean?
That's especially like the franchise was called Stab because somebody with a knife was just stabbing people.
Yeah.
What did you think of the reveal, let's just say, in this versus the reveal in the first one?
When you finally meet Mrs. Loomis and Mickey, Mickey, as I said to you earlier, I predicted that he was one of the killers. I thought
it did exactly what it did in the first one for me.
I didn't think there was going to be two killers.
No.
Yeah, because it was the double fake out. Yeah,
the double fake out.
Yeah, the trick is. But you want Julia Metcalf? No, what's her name? Lauren Metcalf. That played Miss Loomis.
Yeah, she played Lauren Metcalf. You're right. But they managed to kind of keep Billy alive in a kind of certain way, didn't they? You know,
it's kind of it was the reverse of Friday the 13th.
It was the reverse of Friday the 13th.
Yeah, because you have the mother replacing the son instead of the son replacing the mother as the central antagonist, like, you know, in the franchise at the time. And like Lauren Metcalf is like, it's our name Lauren, is so like the whole way through it, she's this needy local reporter. She looks like she's like a Gale fanatic, and she's constantly first to the scene. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Constantly first to the scene.
Yeah.
Because like she's like Gale's like arrives at a murder scene. She's like, "Oh, I'm wrapping up now," or some shit like that. And she was actually leaving because she like got the report.
And
already.
you still didn't get it. And maybe it's kind of a.
I just thought because she was local news.
Yeah.
She knew people.
Yeah.
And it was so
also
Gale's
you just thought
touch.
you're just less trust of a motherly looking figure, you know. And she
and
just didn't,
I thought it was like Gail was like a duck out of water. She was out of her element because California is her turf.
Yeah.
And like, you know, she's not like, you know what I mean? She's not as wholesome as these people are used to. Or whatever.
What do you think of Mickey? He's what's the word I'm looking for? He's
manic.
No, modus operandi. Your reason for doing something is your
modus operandi. No, your motive.
Motive. That's the one. Yeah.
Your modus operandi is how you kill.
What was his motive?
His motive was he wanted the big trial. He wanted to be known as a famous killer.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit. Then it seemed a little bit.
Was it him actually? Not the first guys that were going to blame the movies. It was him, was it?
Yeah, no, the first guy was going to blame Sydney's dad,
father,
and they were going to get away scot-free with their vengeance and the fact that they've got the experiment with killing people.
Yeah,
and he was going to blame the movies and be a superstar basically.
Yeah, and once again we see there's a dominating like a Loomis picks a fucking fool that's deluded to be their accomplice.
Yes,
because she was obviously the stronger of the two. They said they met in a serial killer chat room or something. And like she was only using him as a ploy or like just pretty much to do the dirty work because they say he did a lot of the killing. I know she did some of it, even though I think either Mickey. Is it Mickey that says something back to about what Randy says or something or there's so I can't remember what I was reading something the other day that they made a mistake with who says back a line of dialogue because they couldn't have been the killer at the time. It must have been the other one of them. When you look at it in reverse or some shit, but yeah, no, I thought the reveal was good. It obviously wasn't as good as the first one.
No.
But
I like that they kept Billy alive. Again, like when you said reverse Friday the 13th, Friday the 31st, the whole thing, and I thought that's brilliant. And think about it that way. But then
the Freaky Friday the 13th.
Yeah. But they needed somebody young, fit, strong. That was probably,
muscle.
Yeah, the muscle basically. Yeah. And somebody who's, again, you can have one person with a really devious, layered plan, and you're like, what about the other guy? And it's like, I don't know, dude. I need somebody who was just doing the fucking horrible shit for horrible shit's sake.
Yeah.
And let's just say somebody who's obsessed with the spotlight, or somebody who wants to be, you know, outgun Bundy or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. And
if I can't be famous, I'll be infamous.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like in a film school and stuff where you kind of realize how hard it actually is to break in. But you could be, I mean, you know, as many people know the name Ted Bundy as know anybody's famous.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So famous and infamy they are thin lines. And by the way, Joel, I think, was the name of the cameraman.
Oh, was it Joel?
Yeah, Joel Dwan Martin was the guy who played him. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
He just had the awareness, like, okay.
Was he like starting to read the book and everything?
Yeah, because especially when somebody gets butchered in the back of his van, he's like, fuck this.
It's like, your camera, that's my cameraman got good. No, he didn't get good. He got his throat slit.
When you look, I'm looking here and I can see all the sorority sisters were like Portia de Rossi, Rebecca Gayheart. Like, I mean, it's just crazy how
solid the cast is.
Yeah, how solid the cast is. Like, I mean, you're in the cast as sorority sister.
Is that girl Rebecca Gayheart?
She was an Urban Legend.
She was the killer in Urban Legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the curly hair girl, isn't she?
Yes, and then in real life, she kills someone in a hit and run or something.
Oh, really?
And that's what happened to her career.
Is she in prison right now?
No.
Oh, weird.
I think, like, whatever.
Must be fun to be rich.
Yeah, she had a good lawyer probably, but like it was a case of damaged goods though in terms of her name, so her career just ended.
Yeah, she'll be back. Matthew Broderick came back after killing someone.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick did it.
Yeah, allegedly on both counts.
Allegedly on both counts. People hit with his car definitely dead.
Yeah. Allegedly.
No, fucking that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say
it happened here in Ireland.
Yeah, I'm gonna cover our asses legally. No, that's what I'm here for.
Harvey Weinstein, so 3 monsters.
Yeah, the Weinstein Company.
Yeah, led by the Weinstein Company. Yeah,
that was just one of the later ones, wasn't it?
That's what
part 4. I was actually wondering whether or not I should actually put that in the cheat sheet. And I was like, I don't want to rewrite history.
No,
you know. No.
But where do you think like it was a worthy successor?
100%. Like, and I think it's aged really well with time. Like,
what it absolutely has.
It's like because it has its own iconic scenes in like the way part 1 had. You don't know the rules. This one had that. movie class scene where they're all like bouncing like what's the best sequel, and then that's the kind of something that kind of runs through, and that's another sign of its self-awareness. That like it's like, is this a better sequel than the first? Like that's pretty well. No sequels are better than the first, and that's what it's kind of hinting at. It's at itself the whole way through. And
there's a lot you let slide when something's poking fun at. It's like that person in your life that poke fun at themselves.
Yeah,
you kind of, you don't mind teasing them or being teased by them.
Yeah.
It just creates that kind of rapport, and I think a film can do that
if
it just pokes fun at itself the right way. And this film did that.
Yeah, and it did, and it had the right actors to do it in the right way as well.
Really,
like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the best thing about it. The cast was really good at being self-aware, and they were like but at the same time, when they needed to be, all the dramatic moments like never failed as well. The scares were good.
Yeah, we lost Randy. Like that was the feels one.
Yeah, because there was only 4 remaining survivors left in part 1,
yeah.
and he was the weakest link. You know what I mean? Good
he
boy.
Was, yeah, he was the weakest link,
and he was like, so that at the end that leaves only 3 of the OGs left for the rest for part 3.
That's right, 3 OGs into part 3.
Excuse me.
How do you think about how Sydney again turns the tables on her would-be killers? And
it makes sense to me because now she's already been through the Woodsboro massacre. She's understands how to play with the Loomises.
She understands how to buy time.
Yeah,
especially doesn't she?
Because she did it in part 1. She bought herself time and she got out there. And I remember when Liev Schreiber pulls Gail out of the Oaks, like, how many fucking lives do you have? Because she like gets shot and she falls into the place where the orchestra sit.
Yeah,
and she falls into that. I don't know what they call it, but like she falls into that, and then at the end, like they think she's dead, and she just like jumps out of the hole, and Liev Schreiber pulls her up. And it's like I love that scene though too. That
Liev Schreiber had a slight redemption arc.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it's not that he was definitely innocent of murder, but as a person, he came across as probably being a douchebag, self-interested, shallow, or what
and he finally got his moment in the sun as well because
she sends the film crew his way because she didn't want any of it.
Yeah, exactly. And do you remember she said how she got him to kill or to shoot Laurie Metcalf or to turn the gun on her or something. It was like she was like Barbara Walters or 60 Minutes or something like that, like, you know, and Barbara Walters or some shit. And that's how she was pretty much saying to him, because remember he was saying earlier on, come on Barbara Walters or 60 Minutes and we get like $1 million or something ridiculous, like, you know. Did
she get to kill Mickey? Was it her turn, Gail? You know, like the last scare, the killer comes running at you.
The 2 of them did.
2 of them did.
Yeah, she killed Billy Loomis's mother, didn't she? Sydney.
Yes.
And then and then Mickey jumps up off the ground and like waving a gun, and as he jumps up, Gail and Sydney open fire.
Lay into him.
Yeah,
because you did the one thing you're not supposed to maybe not announce yourself. You know, and
he probably could have gotten away,
sneaking into sorority houses and throwing girls through windows and stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He probably actually could have gotten away at that point because they thought he was dead.
Yeah, it would have. And
it was filled with all dry ice and fog.
But the thing is, one thing that's going to be right through this entire series is that they're all self-contained.
Yeah.
They're all like, I mean, I know you could argue that Billy Loomis's story bled into the second one.
Of course,
they needed.
He's a legacy character.
They needed a motive.
Yeah,
and somebody said, "What about this?" And somebody, that sounds actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
what you referred to as a reverse Friday the 13th. So I could imagine going, yeah, that's solid. That's solid.
An estranged mother that feels guilty for not being there for her son, and now he's dead.
Now he's dead. He was a good boy.
Yeah, in her eyes.
Yeah,
like as Ted Bundy's mother, I'm sure, said, and all these mothers said, he was a good boy. You know what I mean? Like,
he was raised by his grandmother, and he thought his sister turned out to be his mother.
Yeah, Ted Bundy. And all that. That monster. So Noel, how did you think part 2 weighed up against part 1 before we get the fuck out here?
I thought it was a worthy successor. I thought it expanded on. I remember coming out of the second one thinking this actually deserves a trilogy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like a story to just happen and leave it the fuck alone.
There's a lot of life left in this franchise.
A lot of life felt like it was left in this franchise, and it just felt it kind of. The second one was just about how fucked up people are.
Yeah.
And you feel like, well, if with that in mind, why can't you have another one? People are extremely fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. You just need someone else from your past.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like you're reading stories all the time about, guy wanted to go on a cop killing spree to see how many, if he could kill more cops, let's say whoever, or a guy wanted to blow up this building, see how many Muslims do. It just goes on and on about the hate and psychosis in the world. Well, that is a big, deep pool that you can pull from.
Yeah, exactly.
And the second film made me just feel like, fuck it, I can just keep going with this shit, I think. As long as they don't start making trash films, have at it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing is as well, because as long as it's some way connected to Sydney,
Yes. Sydney's your lightning rod. That's what I mean. She's Batman in Gotham.
Exactly.
She's going to do most of the fighting.
Yeah.
And the absolute craziest of crazies find her.
Yeah.
No matter where she goes, whether it's Ohio or it's California.
Yeah, she'll always be the one in the final showdown.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean. Like,
so she's the Batman in Gotham, man. She is, but she has to figure it all out. She has to do all the fighting, and the people she goes up against are absolutely insane.
Yeah, and
she's Batman in Gotham.
Yeah, generally it's her trying to figure out what the link is to her, because after part 1 she knows it's a personal killing. So part 2 she's kind of trying to figure out is this someone trying to recreate Woodsboro? Because the way they're using the victims' names, the new victims are actually mirroring some part of. It's like Maureen was played by Jada Pinkett Smith, like Maureen Prescott, and her boyfriend was the same as someone else's boyfriend.
Or something like that.
Yeah, he was played by Omar Epps. You were saying a second ago. But like, and Phil, and it kind of works down some Stevens guy, like Steven, the guy that got killed at the start.
Well, it's actually Phil Stevens, yeah.
Is that what it was actually? So Phil Stevens. So like, he was supposed to mimic like.
It was always mirror, and we'll find this when we go into the third one. Not jump ahead of itself. It's mirroring itself while mirroring itself.
Yeah,
it's like Scream 2 is in the universe of Stab 1. And then by the time Scream 3 rolls around, because they jump forward another 2 years, there's a few stabs, and by the time Scream 4 comes around, 10 years later, so it's a legacy, it's already got so it's always mirroring itself. It's a mirror held up to a mirror, and that's a hard thing to pull off, but this film pulled it off beautifully.
And it does it constantly as well.
It didn't care about the characters as much. I felt sorry for the boyfriend who did turn out to be innocent this time, but that just made sense to me from a storytelling.
Because he's a clear red herring.
Randy we loved, and Randy died, and that was enough to give the film, stop it from being too goofy. This was goofier than the first one. But that grounded it for me, because that was a loss I felt. And
David Arquette got his ritual butchering as well.
David Arquette got stabbed.
Like a lot. Like would you will a lot more. So Noel, do you want to say anything else about Scream 2 before we get out?
No. It was an awesome revisit. It was an easy, like sometimes watching the films feels like homework. I remember the time I was at the end of this. I was just thinking of what hours can I fit it in. But I was absolutely down.
They're so enjoyable. They're so entertaining.
And watching them that close together, which I'd never done. Like, wow, it's such a cool franchise. And I didn't give enough credit first time around, because I think it was a bit of a purist. I needed gore, I needed hell. You
need metal.
I needed
just like new metal.
I need over the top, because this was over the top in a silly way, but we need over the top in a concept way or something. And when you were just watching these films and how self-aware they were, I just recommend this franchise.
100%. Like the way part 2 built off what part 1 did, and it reintroduces, and then to Miss Loomis, and then it showed Mickey, and I had one thing I love about this movie, is that it fucking shows you how much it loves horror.
Oh my god!
You know what I mean? That's the big takeaway I think from the first 2 Scream movies, is like Wes Craven's sheer love for the horror genre, because his characters, it just bleeds through them. Like, you know what I mean? And even as you go along, and then when it goes into part 3, when they talk about like old school horror Hollywood and the B movies and shit like that, and the exploitation movies and stuff. But I just love the way it just shows like every single character in the movie is how you nearly want all your friends to be. Everybody nearly has a devout like movie knowledge, and like they can like every second line is a quote from a movie. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about it. And it's real snippy or real snappy repartee or whatever.
That's it. Actually, the way people actually talk. As opposed to something that's very organic.
Exactly.
And as opposed, it's something the exact opposite, something that's very rigid. It did have that. It was just steeped in realism while being very, very much so.
Exactly. That's what I love about it.
I love anything that does a balance in that. I love anything that doesn't just walk.
That's one thing I love about it. And I think like it shows that it has such a great affection for the genre. The way the kills were, the way it was so self-aware, the way it looked at the tropes, the way we're just going to do Friday the 13th reverse. Like I think it was like we're going to have the guy that's going to blame the movies, and it's all so like all hack in the best way. And it's done with such affection and shit like that. And that's one thing I love about the first 2 Scream movies.
I was expecting the religious people who were just like, This is because of original sin or something. Factions.
Yeah, or the Order of Two and the later Halloween movies when they lost their fucking minds. Yeah, so like before we get the fuck out, I just think Scream 2 was definitely a worthy follow up. Maybe not as iconic or not as memorable, which is often the case with Part 2.
Yeah,
but as it goes along the line, it's probably the second best movie of the franchise, even though Part 4 rivals it a lot, in my opinion. I think because I think Part 4 is so solid.
4 reminded me a lot of Part 2.
Yeah. Really because it was so self-aware.
And especially because it was next generation. Yeah. So people were able to slot into the roles the other ones would have aged out of. But it was. Yeah,
exactly.
Second best film in the franchise, gun to my head.
Yeah, I think so. And I think like it's the killers, they kind of become less memorable maybe as they go along. Yeah. And I think these were the last kind of really memorable killers of the 7 that we said that wore the ghost face mask. Yeah. Because the next one seemed a bit more tenuous.
Yes.
Except for maybe I know her cousin or whatever, Jill, in Part 4. But like I think like when you get along with the long lost brother and shit like that, it's a bit, that kind of way. Like it's a bit like But I think this is definitely probably the second best in the franchise, and it's a worthy follow up to the first one, even though it may not be as iconic. It still has a shit ton of memorable moments.
You have the concept.
We always say this though, like
Aliens 2. You can't. If the concept is already there and as cool as it is,
you have to change the concept while still paying homage to the original. That's why you get debates with Godfather 1 and 2 and Alien and Aliens. Terminator 1, Terminator 2. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just a constant case of can you change the sequel enough to avoid direct comparison, so it's also a standalone thing. And sometimes it's hard to do when you have a slasher movie, because it's very hard to change the concept because the formula of a slasher movie is so well ingrained into that subgenre. And so all could Scream do was make itself more meta or more self-aware. And even though it wasn't as original in the way it portrayed its antagonist, it still, I think, was ridiculously enjoyable for how self-aware it got. And I think that's the hallmark, as we said earlier on, of the franchise, that even though the movies might not be super original each time with the kills or who's Ghostface or whatever, I think how self-aware it becomes and how it plays with that self-awareness throughout. I think it's the major
you're more aware of that when you watch them.
Exactly.
I really think you are. But I think that's it, man. I think we just did Scream 2.
All right, cool. All right, no, so we get the fuck out of here. We'll be back
out of here later today.
Yeah.
Scream number 3
and 4.
Oh, that's right. 4, which I've definitely watched.
All right, so I'm your host, Vince Green.
I'm your host, John Tui.
This is Invasion Pod Snatchers. You just listened to Scream 1 and Scream 2. We went to Woodsboro, we went to college, and we'll be back again. We're going to Hollywood next time, motherfuckers. So peace out and listen again. Noel, final word?
Carl Mack in the back. Thanks for everything. And thanks for listening, people. Peace out.
See you later next time. See you next time, fuckers.
See you later next time. I love it.